Returning now to the studio with more on the downing of a Russian aircraft in Syria is Brigadier General Shmueli, former fighter pilot, former head of Israeli Air Force Intelligence, chairman of Hashomer Chadash, and founder of Meetchabrim to Jerusalem. General, thank you so much for coming in. Brigadier General. So my first question is, how did this happen? How did we not,
we have to start that we don't like the issue of loss of life of Russian soldiers, but those lives were taken by Syrian air defense missiles that were launched toward this airplane. So the Israeli airplane haven't shot this airplane. It was done directly by the Syrian ground forces. Nevertheless, more than that, when the airplane was shooting down by the Syrian, Israeli airplanes weren't there yet anymore. We left 20 minutes before. So it was a very...
You know that.
I know that. We left before. We haven't been there when it shot down. They always do it. They fire a lot of missiles while we are in the air, the Israeli airplanes. And after we finish the attack, because when we have an attack, first of all, we notified in advance the Russians. Secondly, what we do, we make sure that there is no other incidents or flights that can collide with our attack. So this is what we have done. We notified them. We took care that nobody is around. This airplane was 100 kilometers aside. And then we execute the attack against targets, against missiles that the Iranian ship to the Latakia, and from Latakia to Hezbollah. Those are very accurate missiles that they send strategic weapon. And then we withdraw our airplanes, and when our airplanes withdraw, these airplanes came, and we haven't been there. And
and then the missile that took down the Russian
absolutely.
So you're saying this was deliberate.
This is
a gross mistake.
Because, it's a gross mistake, and I tell you from the knowledge from the other attacks that we made in Syria that it happens that they launch missiles 15 and 20 minutes after we are not there.
So first of all, why would they do that? What strategic importance does it?
No, they haven't done it. They haven't done it. They've done it by mistake.
Okay.
They are so inaccurate. So this is what's happened. It's a fog of someone is flying in the air.
So all of that being said, then you have this information, I'm assuming, being conveyed to Putin prior to him making these statements. So then after that, just earlier today, we have the Russian ambassador here in Israel saying that, pretty much blaming Israel for the attack and saying, we really shouldn't have been there and we shouldn't have been doing anything. We should have notified. We should have, would have, could have.
Since I'm talking now as a professional, so I'm not going to think why they have done it. Maybe they had this kind of fog as much as the Syrian, because they sit there and maybe they see some of the picture. Nevertheless, we send our Air Force commander and a group of our officers in order, first of all, to give them all the details, and secondly, to make sure that everything in the future will be the same like it's happened in the last 3-4 years. In the last 3-4 years, we haven't had any collision with the Russians, and we don't like it to be in the future. But I want to insist, we have to destroy those targets, because this is strategic weapons that come in from Iran in different ways in order to send it to Hezbollah.
Okay, so my final question on this topic is, how will this affect Israel-Russian relations, especially as it pertains to operations in the future, as you mentioned, we will probably need to conduct?
I believe that we are going to keep on our job in Syria in order to protect Israel. I believe when the Air Force commander now is there, is going to share with them more knowledge and more information about those shipments that we haven't gave them before. Now we are going to give them even more knowledge that this is something unacceptable from Israel to have those shipments from Iran to Syria. So it is a crisis, something happened. Nevertheless, I think that from this crisis we can even strengthen our relationship and our coordination with the Russians in order to protect Israel.
All right. So moving on to terror at home, we've learned recently that the terrorist who shot Ari Fold is now, his family is now going to be paid, what is it, 1,400 shekels a month for the next 3 years. How are we supposed to promote a peaceful coexistence or anything like that while the PA is paying terrorists?
It's systematic. First of all, if you plan to make a suicide attack on Israel, you know that even if you survive or not survive, you know that your family is going to be paid. It's systematic. It's not only this tragic what's happened.
So is there any workaround around?
First one. Secondly, if you are going to survive this attack as a terrorist and going to jail in Israel, you are going to get money from them. And third is that those people who died, they give name on schools on their names. For example, I'm happy that the Americans start first and they start to boycott the money to the Palestinian Authority and to the Palestinian Authority schools because they incite the young generation against Israel. But now even Belgium, they are confused all the way in the last couple of years, but now they realize, and they also boycott in the last couple of days on money from one school that was named on a Shaheed terrorist woman that participated in a terror attack 30 years ago. So even the Belgium boycott the money. So it's the European countries and the American, luckily they understand that this is systematic, the way they incite the people in order to give fuel to this kind of fighting Israel in the terrorist attack.
So, all right, well, hopefully then this will be the last such attack before people realize that what you're saying is true, that this is coming from the Palestinian Authority and their payments. Now, finally, I understand we want to move on kind of to Sukkot. Yom Kippur just happened. We've ideally absolved ourselves of sin. And now, you have a Meetchabrim organization, is that correct? And tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm the founder and leading an organization that make once a year a march to Jerusalem for 2 days, kind of a pilgrimage. We renew the old tradition of thousands of Israelis going together to Jerusalem for 2 days. And the issue is that since the Israeli society is so diverse, religions, non-religions, Arabs, Jews, everything. So we make this kind of march to Jerusalem for 2 days, almost 20...
Is it that inclusive as well? You have everybody from everyone?
Ultra-Orthodox, Haredi, Mitnachalim, people from Tel Aviv, Arabs from the Galilee, everyone going together, and we make a lot of engagement and meeting among the people in order to know each other. Israel is very diverse, many cultures, and all these cultures goes for 2 days to Jerusalem. First day we go in the mountains, and second day we climb to Jerusalem, and then we go around the old city, and we finally go through the president's house, and then we go to the Gan Saker, which is the gathering place to salute to the state of Israel and to the capital of Israel. So Meetchabrim en route to Jerusalem, it's a march in order to unite the people. Unlike what we listen in the media, that we think this and this, these people don't like this one. Yeah. No, we are going together. The people want to be together. And March to Jerusalem, it's a kind of unification.
All right, well, as I understand it, it's 25 shekels per person, but free if you're under 12.
Yes.
And for any more information about where and when and how to get there, anything like that, meetchabrim.org.il.
Just come. If you happen to be in Israel,
if you happen to be there, come.
Go with us to Jerusalem.
All right, Brigadier General, thank you so much.
I want to give you a hat. Everyone that come to march with us, he got this hat. So you put it on your head.
Obviously.
With the symbol of Jerusalem, and we go to Jerusalem.
All right, Brigadier General, it's always a pleasure.